Russian aggression in Ukraine has brought not only thousands of killed and wounded civilians, but also hundreds of cases of sexual violence. The Office of the Prosecutor General of Ukraine has officially registered more than 150 crimes of this nature committed by the Russian military. But the scale could be larger, as now there is no access to the temporarily occupied territories of Ukraine. Our correspondent has spoken to women who found the courage to speak publicly about their experiences of sexual violence.
The village of Dmitrivka is 30 kilometers away from Kiev. Now only checkpoints remind us that in March 2022, this village was under the occupation of the Russian troops. Halina is a local. She is 61 years old. The woman stayed alone in her house during the invasion, as her children had managed to escape before the Russian troops entered the village. We meet Halina at the site of a tank battle near her home village.
There's a lump in my throat, and it brings tears to my eyes when I recall the moments, the days, and the events that happened here.
The woman recalls that the village was completely isolated from the outside world for 3 weeks. The Russian soldiers searched houses every day, intimidating and humiliating the inhabitants. Halina says it was all bearable, but not what happened to her on March 19, 2022.
He unbuttoned his jacket. When he started unzipping his trousers, I could see where this was going. He was abusing me, throwing me around, forcing me to spread my legs. He was moving with a machine gun between my legs, with his hands and all sorts of things. He was young and he had a lot of strength, and he started raping me in all kinds of ways.
Halina could receive her first medical treatment only a month after the incident, when the Ukrainian troops liberated Dmitrivka from the invaders. After that, the medical examination was followed by witness statements at the prosecutor's office and psychological help.
I started crying and letting go. I have been weeping for months, and no matter how much I restrain myself, my eyes still fill with tears. I feel so sorry for all the people out there. I understand how hard it is for them and how long they have been there, for a long time, and how many cases can still be found there.
Understanding the gravity of what has happened to her and the possible ostracism and fear, Halina has agreed to tell her story publicly anyway. She joined an NGO, Sema Ukraine, which collects stories of victims from the liberated territories who suffered sexual and psychological abuse committed by the Russian soldiers. In total, more than 30 stories of women who have been subjected to such crimes have already been collected. These are the women we know about. Some of them are interviewed remotely, but they are willing to tell us, our circle at least, about something. Ludmila joined the NGO after almost becoming a victim of sexual violence during the occupation. This is the woman's first spring of freedom following 3 years in detention center in Donetsk. During numerous interrogations conducted exclusively by men, Ludmila was threatened with physical reprisals by soldiers of the so-called Donetsk People's Republic. He said, if you talk a lot, your mouth will be busy, because we have guys. Some mercenaries who fought against Ukraine were indeed coming there to the first floor. They had something like a dormitory there. They were drinking and fighting. They also used to bring either girls or guys there to have fun. The human rights activist managed to escape from occupied Donetsk thanks to a lawyer who traced the woman's whereabouts in a pre-trial detention center. In October 2022, Ludmila returned to the controlled part of Ukraine during the first large-scale women's exchange. Now, the NGO where the woman works records the war crimes committed by the Russian army in the liberated territories of the Kiev region and part of the Kherson region.
If we talk about the period before the full-scale invasion, it's more than 200 cases, but this is information from those who have spoken directly about it. What is really important is that these crimes do not only concern women, but also men.
According to an NGO, Eastern Ukrainian Center for Civic Initiatives, there are around 60 locations in the occupied part of Luhansk and Donetsk regions where sexual crimes have been committed by the pro-Russian militants since 2014. Since the full-scale invasion, according to the Prosecutor General's office, 155 people have agreed to bring cases to court and talk about the sexual violence committed against them. Out of these, 106 were women, 38 were men, and 11 were minors.